Welcome back to Pitso on SABC Lehae. Recently, communities in certain areas of KwaZulu Natal have been affected by floods. Roads, bridges, houses, electricity, infrastructure were severely damaged. Transport operations were also disrupted due to heavy rains, which led to floods and claimed the lives of many people. The South African Weather Service has issued a warning that more heavy rains can be expected. To go deep on this matter, we are joined by a meteorologist and weather forecaster, Lihonolo Thobela from the South African Weather Services. Lihonolo, welcome to Pitso on SABC Lehae. Before we get into the issue of flooding or the weather in KwaZulu Natal, let's perhaps tell us what we can look forward to regarding the weather in this country generally for the weekend.
Good morning and thanks for having me. Yes, we are looking at, to start with today, we have scattered to widespread chance of showers and thunder showers with mainly disruptive rain expected over the eastern half of the country, which would include the eastern provinces, would be Gauteng, KwaZulu Natal, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, the eastern parts of the Northwest Province. Isolated showers and rain are still expected along the south coast of the Western Cape Province, with the Eastern Cape, eastern half, as well as the Free State, Northwest, Gauteng, and parts of Mpumalanga and Limpopo issued a yellow level 2 warning for disruptive rain, as well as over KwaZulu Natal. Then you can remember we have an orange level 5 for disruptive rain that's expected for today. Tomorrow, scattered to a widespread chance still remains over the eastern half, with the disruptive rain mainly over the northern parts of Limpopo, where they were expecting widespread chance of showers and thunder showers. Otherwise, on Friday, we still see just a break from showers and rain, with just a 30% chance of showers and rain expected over the northern parts of the Northern Cape Province, as well as the east coast of KwaZulu Natal. Into the weekend, it still remains an isolated to a scattered chance for the eastern half provinces, but mainly isolated over the central parts of the country.
All right, Lihonolo, so let's now talk about floods. Why is it that we get a lot of news that, KwaZulu Natal is the one that is affected by these floods? Because it's not happening for the first time. Even a few years back, we had issues where in Durban there were floods. Why specifically the province of KwaZulu Natal?
I think with KwaZulu Natal's position and regarding the eastern half, you can imagine the thought of it being under a summer rainfall area. But secondly, some parts of the areas which had floods are built along the floodplain, but also we can then have different instances. I mean, in the years back, it was different systems that brought about the heavy rain that you're speaking about, which resulted in a number of floods with most parts of the coastal low and an upper air system that brought the rain along the coastal areas, which then move on over to the northern parts of KwaZulu Natal. But with the positioning of the provinces itself, I mean, we know that in summer it receives a lot of rainfall, and doesn't help now that we are in a situation where we're experiencing more of the weather extremes, which then if you see that it's not only storms that develop in KwaZulu Natal, you get a storm that develops over the eastern parts of the Free State province and moves over to KwaZulu Natal, which will impact the central and the western parts of the province. We also have a high pressure system that would sometimes reach from the coastal areas, then bringing in the moisture, with the northern parts of the country bringing about more of the tropical moisture that results in heavy rain in some parts of the northern parts. But it's not only limited to that. You'd probably sometimes have a coastal low that's associated with an upper air system, which then results in more of the convection that results in the weather that you're seeing. Sometimes it's just a surface trough and a high pressure system in the central parts, resulting in convergence, which then creates more of the storm. So it's different conditions for every time, but it looks like because of the position and where it is, and considering that we're in the summer rainfall season, that's when KwaZulu Natal would receive much more of its rain.
Well, Lihonolo, some say floods are caused by the global warming that is currently happening around the world. What's your take on that?
I think floods are caused by different systems. I mean, a flood in definition is an overflow of rain over an area, and which, well, I don't say it rain, or it's overflow of water over an area that reaches its limit. Sometimes in some areas which are built around the floodplain, it takes just 10 millimeters of water for it to land on the ground, for it to be flooded. Sometimes you'd have groundwater flooding, which is results of drainage system and infrastructure that's not well. In some areas, it's flash flooding due to a heavy rain that happens in a short space of time that starts flooding. So it's a different type of thing. However, in terms of global warming, as you've stated, in terms of climate change, an increase in temperatures that measures the occurrence of weather that happens in the eastern parts and the central parts of the country. And considering that we have El Nino, which is an ENSO measurement of the eastern half of the Pacific Ocean, that's then related to our weather patterns in the country. Sometimes we result in, we are from La Nina, which happened for the consecutive 3 years, and there's been a transition into El Nino, which then increases the weather extremes but lowers the below normal rainfall for some parts of the country, like the southwestern parts of the country and the central parts, which would include the Western Cape, the Northern Cape province. However, with the weather extremes increasing, it then brings about more of the heavy rain. And with the heavy rain, you have an overflow of water, especially in areas like KwaZulu Natal that already have drainage systems that are blocked, that already have infrastructure that has been gone through the devastating news, as we've seen the structure being collapsed, and also having roads that are waterlogged, not then to forget the land that becomes saturated, which then results in a number of occasions that results in flooding.
So, Litlhonolo, would you rather maybe suggest that the province of KwaZulu Natal works on improving the drainage system to maybe minimize the flooding in the province?
I would suggest that, not only KwaZulu Natal, but provinces as a whole, in terms of disaster managing, it's very, very keen, or rather, it's a good thing to make sure that the drainage system that they are worthy to contain the type of rainfall that is to land on the ground. And much of that, also planting more trees, it will also help, because remember, it's not only in relying on the drainage as it is, you also need water to be retained by the plants and also the trees and everything. So with every development that happens, it results in runoff. With every development that has no improvement in how water is retained by the ground, could be the soil, could be, if the more tar roads we have, the more building, it should also include in terms of the infrastructure as to how do we incorporate much more of the flooding and the rain into the aspect of life.
So let's look at the province of KwaZulu Natal going forward. Since now there's flooding, what can we expect in the coming few weeks? Is the situation going to be stabilized, or are things going to get worse?
As mentioned to you right now, I think for as much as we're still in summer, we're still experiencing much more of the weather extreme for the eastern half. However, on Friday, they still get a break, especially in KwaZulu Natal. It's just the east coast that will experience there's a 30% chance of showers and light rain that's expected along the coast. Into the week, then we'll see how the system moves and monitor the situation. But for now, we still have just a 30% chance, a scattered chance of showers and rain up until the start from Friday into the weekend. But we still monitor and keep you updated as a South African Weather Service.
Litlhonolo, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That was meteorologist and weather forecaster Litlhonolo Thobela from the South African Weather Services talking to us about the flooding in the KwaZulu Natal province.